Guys, something has happened. I've been playing a lot of Draw Steel lately. And let me tell you something. This is one of my new top 5 RPGs. Those of you who are in my Discord server have known this for a little while. I have not been quiet about it. Draw Steel is a great game. Just flatly. This is your spoiler-free headline of the review. It's a great game and I love it. All right. I am placing it at number 3 in my top 5 list. There's a lot of different reasons for this, and I've made a previous video talking about how I find it difficult to pitch Draw Steel because of what it does and the way that it does it, and the terminology that we use to describe things in tabletop RPGs has served to create a bit of a cloud of confusion about like what those things actually mean. And so there are times when like I start talking about Draw Steel and I realize that if someone else were to say these things about some other RPG that I didn't know about, I would make some assumptions that just aren't true for this game. Things like it's high heroic tactical fantasy. Sure, like that's how people describe D&D too. Specifically 5th edition D&D. I've heard people refer to it as heroic fantasy. And, it uses a battle grid, so it's tactical. That's not what I'm talking about here. And not to get too deep into it, because I've already talked about, like, trying to pitch the game. So that's not what this video is about. But when I say things about Draw Steel, I really mean it. I'm talking about tactical elements that go throughout the entire system. They are baked in. And I feel like I'm rambling a little bit here. Trying not to retread old ground, but also trying to communicate what I'm talking about here. Let me just tell you a little story. Last time I was playing Draw Steel was a couple of weeks ago. And I realized that our team was, like, everything that someone did was benefiting someone else. And a large part of this comes down to the way that resource generation is designed. Now, characters can often do things that generate their own resources. You get some at the start of your turn, of course, but everyone has like additional triggers for generating more. And you usually want to hit those triggers because more resources is better, as anyone who plays resource-based games knows. But you can also have your allies trigger your resources. And so if someone is sitting at 1 or 2 resources short of being able to do something really impactful on their turn, they can hold off their action because it uses this sort of like side-based initiative system where you can activate in any order in each round. You can hold off on activating until an ally has done something that generates more resources for you, and now you can do a more impressive thing on your turn. That kind of team play, that kind of synergy is amazing, and it really, like, that's what gets my neurotransmitters going. Like that's what gets my brain all juicy, if you know what I'm saying. If you know what I'm talking about. You picking up what I'm putting down? Good. Excellent. We're all on the same page. So for example, there is a I think it's the talent that gets resources when someone is force moved. And then force movement is pretty common in other classes. And so most character types can, whether you build for it, and sometimes even if you don't build for it, sometimes it's automatic, can force move enemies, generate more resources for their friend there. I play a tactician, and I think, for the most part, I'm going to be generating half my resources myself. And then allies sort of incidentally do it. But like my 2 triggers are someone attacks the character I marked, which everyone wants to do that anyways, and I'm probably going to do it the same turn. Like, whenever I go, I'm going to be doing it for myself. But also when someone uses a heroic ability. Everyone has heroic abilities. And probably somebody's using a heroic ability, at least one person's using a heroic ability every round. Everyone can. Which means that the tactician doesn't require any specific other character or specific other build to maximize its resource generation. And that's really cool. And I realized that this game is synergies all the way down. Like, no matter how you build your party, you're probably going to find accidental synergies. And that feels really good. Because on the one hand, you do want to build a game like this for players who like to discover things, and they like to, theory craft builds and find synergies and build for those. And those, aren't necessarily going to happen automatically. You have to go looking for them. But also, it is really, really fun to be playing a game and suddenly realize, without having tried, that the thing you're doing and the thing someone else is doing work together perfectly. It's a great feeling. So that's number one. Synergies. If you like synergies, this game is synergies all the way down at every level. Yes. Number two, it has a really cool downtime system, which is not something I was looking for when I started playing this. I kind of didn't even realize that it had a downtime system when I first started looking into it. But the whole like downtime projects, or are they called respite projects, respite activities? As downtime projects that you do as a respite activity. Respites being like a 24-hour period of non-adventuring. So it can be, carousing with NPCs. It can be crafting magic items. It can be researching, whatever sort of like long-term project you want to work on during your downtime. It's a respite activity. And there's a lot of them in here. Let me actually get into where those are. I want to list off some of these because I'm sure I'm forgetting. See, downtime projects on page 293. Please turn your tomes to page 293. So there are crafting projects. There are events that can happen. There's like random events that or events that can happen during downtime, and it has rules in here for like for rolling to see if like an event will happen. That's really cool. And the kinds of crafting projects that are in here are not just like make magic items that are good for adventuring, but also things like building an airship, building or repairing a road. Can you like? It's so easy to imagine the kinds of scenarios where these would be really useful, especially in the presumed sort of setting that Drawsteel is meant to be run in, where it's sort of, yes, it's high fantasy, yes, it's quite an established setting, but also there's a lot of parts of the world that have fallen to neglect or misrepair. There's a lot of old places in the world where, like, roads maybe aren't really well maintained. And so letting the player characters work on that, maybe to the benefit of whatever the NPCs that they're working with need, excellent. You can craft a teleportation platform. You can craft a treasure, which sort of covers all of the like item creation thing. You can imbue your weapons and armor with things. You can find a cure for a disease. That's really cool. We've done that already. There's more imbuing. I think there's a lot of this. There's research projects. You can like discover lore. And it's got rules for like different kinds of knowledge: common knowledge, obscure knowledge, lost knowledge, forbidden knowledge, of course, obviously. Here's the table for like crafting events, things that can happen just sort of randomly, or not crafting events, like research events. Oh, it's like crafting and research events. Yeah, it's like if something happens, here's a table of looks like 50 different things that can happen, like little random events. That's so cool. You can like go undercover if like the heat is too high. If like the villains are too after you, you can sort of adopt a new identity and go undercover and hide from them. You can hone career skills. You can actually learn new abilities like from a class if you have a master of that character type to learn from. That's so cool. And there's lots more. Like this chapter continues. This keeps on going. The point is that it has really well thought out and a highly diverse set of downtime activities that players can do. They usually involve some sort of like ability check to determine like how much progress you make in accomplishing this long-term goal. And I think that's really cool. Downtime activities are something that a lot of people look for in RPGs, and sometimes you kind of have to make up your own when the game doesn't provide it. Some of my favorite RPGs, actually now with this sitting at top 3, my 3 favorite RPGs all have like explicit downtime activities. You've got Legend of the Five Rings, which doesn't have like a codified set list of downtime activities, but there are downtime periods where you can ask like, what do you want? You're going to get a downtime activity. What do you want to do? And you can do something improv, or you can do a technique that can be used as a downtime activity. Usually like rituals and shujis and things like that. You also have Blades in the Dark, of course, which has a set downtime period, like a section of the game dedicated to doing downtime stuff, because the scores that you go on are a relatively small part of the characters' lives. And now you have Draw Steel, which has really good downtime mechanics, and I would say they're actually pretty similar in scope to the kinds of things that you can do in Blades in the Dark, although obviously quite different for the different setting. I find that's really engaging. Like the adventuring is really fun, and obviously like that's the focus of the game, is like, you know, the combat and the heroism and beating the monsters and beating the bad guys, and that's really fun, and that is absolutely the highlight, the spotlight of the game is on that. But to get a break in the action and then have something meaningful and useful to do there, awesome. That means that you aren't ever in a position where you are just like waiting for the game to continue. Like obviously characters need to have their downtime, but if it's just go buy magic items and rest up, recover your hit points, maybe do a few role-playing scenes that may or may not matter in the long run, some players, not all, some players are going to kind of not really engage with that, and they're going to kind of be waiting for things to start again. You know, when are we going to go back to adventuring? I play a game about adventuring so that we can go adventuring and go like kill monsters and whatever it is that we're doing there. When you have set downtime mechanics, then it comes down to like, okay, you have rested up. Now you have a day where you're not adventuring. What do you want to accomplish? What goals other than adventuring do you want to pursue? And there are mechanics for doing that. And there are even like class abilities that can interact with that. Like some, not class abilities, but there are, background elements that can give you the ability to craft items a little bit more quickly. That kind of thing. There's, you can gain renown to attract followers that will help you do downtime activities, or do downtime activities while you're adventuring. So then you have to resolve that. And I find the entire downtime mechanics, like the whole thing for Draw Steel, is very evocative. And I find it very fun to engage in, and sort of fun to think about, like, what am I going to do when we get back to town? You know, I'm this close to finishing this project, but now we have this other thing we need to work on. So do I finish that, or do I start this new thing? That kind of stuff. I think it's really neat to think about. It's a good way to engage players in a phase of the game that is narratively necessary, but maybe isn't always mechanically well represented. Characters feel badass. Characters feel amazing and strong pretty much all the time. Like every time somebody has a turn in this game, everyone at the table is like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. A big part of that comes down to the fact that niches and these like your mechanical domains for each character is very well defined. So oftentimes when someone is doing something their class specializes in, other people at the table don't specialize in that, and their stuff for the same thing is not going to be as good. So they see your stuff being a lot more potent, and they're like, wow, that's so cool. I can't do that. I can't do anything like that. Another part of it is that, of course, famously, Draw Steel has a system where in combat you pretty much never waste your turn. No matter how poorly you roll, you always have a sort of minimum level of effect, which does a lot of things. Like when I try to pitch Draw Steel, I often mention like, oh, you can't miss your attacks, and I've stopped doing that because people hear that and they think, oh, well, this game's just on easy mode. You just always hit. What? Okay, so like, what's the point? Like, there's no challenge, as if rolling a high number on a die is a challenge for a player, which like that's a whole argument on its The point of Draw Steel's power roll mechanic is that the player never feels like their turn is wasted. Like there's no point in them even being there, which is just a really, really good game design. Another thing is that, of course, even when you are at negative hit points, when you have, or stamina hit points, even when, like, in a state where you would be defeated otherwise, in other games, you can still participate. Like, dying doesn't stop you from acting, which I think is really, really cool. Like, that is something that I would do, for sure. And in fact, it's something that I am doing for Code World. Like, characters can continue to act even if they've been defeated. It's a slightly different approach, but it's the same idea. The player should never be told that they can't play the game anymore, which is why I'm also pleased to see that most, hang on a second. Yeah, it looks like, as far as I can tell, none of the standard conditions ever say you just don't get to act on your turn. You can't take actions at all. The most severe is dazed, which makes you take one action. That's still something. You're still playing. You're still making decisions on your turn. There's no complete hard lockdown condition in this game. There might be for some unique monster or something like that, but not that I know of. I have not gone scrubbing through the monster book, by the way. So if it's in there, maybe a lot of monsters have it. I don't know, but it's not in the base rules, is what I'm saying. It's just a lot of really smart design decisions that are all geared towards one central philosophy. Make sure the players are having fun all the time and not just sometimes. Not just when they're playing the right class, not just when they roll really well, and not just when they're doing the thing their character is supposed to be doing. It's have fun all the time. And it also has it is steeped with opportunities to discover new ways to have fun. Every time someone at the table does something and someone else goes, "Oh, that's super good for me. Let's combo that." Or, that's exactly what I needed you to do and I didn't even know you could do it. Every time that kind of thing happens, we all kind of have that moment in our brain where we go, "All right, we should do this more in the future." We are discovering synergies, combos, tactics, if you will, as we go. And that learning experience is incredibly fun and engaging. So I find Draw Steel to be one of the best RPGs I have ever played. And I am excited to see it do well in the future. I have my reservations specifically about how MCDM as a company is managing their products and their brand, but it's their products and brand to manage. Do I wish they were doing things slightly differently? Yes. But if wishes were horses, as they say. The point is that as far as just the game goes, I have no complaints. Literally. So there's always been this hesitation before I played Draw Steel. Its spot at number 3 was held by D&D, or I guess I had it at number 5, was D&D 4th edition. And as much as I think it is definitely, by a wide margin, the best edition of D&D, there was always this element of, there are these issues that you should be aware of. By the standards of modern D&D, they're absolutely minuscule issues, practically unseeable if you aren't looking for them, if you don't know to look. But I always felt obligated not to paint it in too bright a light, because there are issues that are serious, that need to be addressed if you're going to play this game sort of long term. And I don't want to get expectations too high. With Draw Steel, I actually think that there's nothing that I would change about this game. Aside from, I don't know, maybe there's balance issues. There could well be balance issues. In fact, I think I have heard a bit about balance issues. Some abilities are definitely stronger than others in the same option slot. Okay, whatever. Some tinkering that way. But as far as the game mechanics, I would not change a thing. This game is perfect for what it is. Why is it not number 1 on my favorite RPGs list? Because what it is not the thing that I like best. It is the thing I like quite well. I like it very well for what it is. I think it cannot do this thing better, really. Maybe one day in the future, something will come out that's like, oh, this is like Draw Steel, but better. Maybe. I don't know if it's going to be in my lifetime, actually. I think this is it is the best product that I can envision for this type of role-playing experience, if that makes sense. And I think it does. So, you may have noticed that I'm in my office, not my car office, my actual office, which is normally where I record videos about D&D 4th edition, but it's been hot as blazes lately, and so I can't really record in my car right now. So we're going to be doing some more videos here. I am slightly breaking format just for the sake of getting content out there, but I'm sure you'll understand. Anyways, if you would like to discuss Draw Steel, D&D 4th edition, or any number of other alternative gaming games, that is not 5th edition, like we can discuss 5th edition if you want. Like we're all down to clown on the big name in the room, but if you want to talk about tabletop RPGs, we'd also talk about board games, game design principles in general. A lot of people in my Discord are making their own games. Feel free to jump into my Discord server. The link is in the description, and I will see you there.